guys, my name is Devin, and today for my persuasive speech, I'm going to be talking to you on why I think people who commit felonies, should not get their voting rights back. Now, growing up, I always thought that once you committed the crime, you got charged for it, found guilty, that you lost your right to vote and you never got it back. I think that was something I was always told, but I mean, that was 15 years ago, so as time goes on, things change. It's been a common practice in the United States to make felons ineligible to vote, in some cases permanently. Over the last few decades, the general trend has been toward reinstating the right to vote at some point, although this is a state-by-state policy choice and it does take a while to change. So obviously, in order to vote in the United States, you have to be at least the age of 18, registered to vote locally and in your state, and you have to meet all the requirements in order to vote. Obviously, you can't be a green card holder, you have to be a full citizen of the United States. So there are 4 types of felonies, and that is a first degree, second degree, third, and a 4th degree. So a first degree felony includes murder, kidnapping, and rape. Obviously, that is one of the worst things you can do. So it's number 1. So that's how I remember. That's the worst thing you can do. Number 1, bad choice you can make. Now, the second degree is going to include abduction and illegally creating explosives, so like IEDs, anything like that, like bombs that were used at the Boston Marathon, stuff like that, as a second degree. Obviously, because of all the things that happened at those events, they're going to get more charges than that. But a third degree felony is going to include fleeing and eluding and certain drug offenses. So fleeing the scene of a crime, hit and run, something like that, or drug offenses like selling marijuana, using marijuana, stuff like that, which now that stuff is legal, but that's recent, as in the last couple of years. And then the 4th degree is going to include sexual conduct with a minor and grand theft auto. No, not the game, actually stealing cars, because believe it or not, it does happen all the time. And then states, as I previously stated, have to make up their own rules as to what they think their voting policy is. So in the District of Columbia, Maine, and Vermont, felons never lose their right to vote, even while they're incarcerated. That's pretty crazy to me. And in 21 states, felons lose their voting rights only while incarcerated and receive automatic restoration upon release. So as soon as they get out, they're done. They get it back. In 16 states, felons lose their voting rights during incarceration and for a period after. Typically, while on parole under probation, voting rights are automatically restored after this time. Former felons may also have the right to pay any outstanding fines, fees, or restoration before their rights are restored, as well as everything else they have to do. And then in 11 states, felons lose their voting rights indefinitely for some crimes, or require a governor's pardon for voting rights to be restored. Face an additional waiting period after completion of sentence, including parole and probation, or require additional action before voting rights can be restored. And there are 3 states or districts in the United States that you never lose your right to vote, and that is going to be the District of Columbia, Vermont, and Maine. And then in the states that you only lose your right to vote while incarcerated and you automatically get released is going to be California, Colorado, Connecticut, Hawaii, Illinois, Indiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Montana, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York, North Dakota, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Oregon, Utah, and Washington. I know for a second there it sounded like the 50 state song, but I promise that's not it. And then the states that you lose, that you lost your right to vote until completion of sentencing, parole, under probation, and automatic restoration after. This also includes Alaska, Arkansas, Georgia, Idaho, Kansas, Louisiana, Minnesota, Missouri, New Mexico, North Carolina, Oklahoma, South Carolina, South Dakota, Texas, West Virginia, and Wisconsin. Now, the states that you lost your right to vote until completion of sentence, in some states, post-sentencing waiting period is additional, or even other things that you have to do if you can get it back. And those states include Alabama, Arizona, Delaware, Florida, Iowa, Kentucky, Mississippi, Nebraska, Tennessee, Virginia, and Wyoming. Fun fact, in 2021, California, Connecticut, New York, and Washington restored voting rights to citizens on parole. So as of 2021, you don't have to do any additional things in those states. Now, where I found all this information is ncsl.com, and it actually, if you can see, will show you as a chart of what the states are on and what they are. And then if you scroll below, it will actually tell you the states that you need to do further investigating and more things that you have to do in certain states, and what you have to do if you can to get that your voting rights back. Now, I personally don't believe someone who commits murder should eventually be able to get their voting rights back. I mean, you killed someone, that person will never be able to vote, so why should you? So I guess that is my thesis, is if you commit a felony, you should not get your voting rights back. And that is all. Thank you.